Thanks so much for joining us here at noon on this very wet Tuesday. Take a look at your screen. A plane skidded off the runway this morning at Louisville's Bowman Field Airport. It took out the fencing and landed in the Seneca Golf Course. We are told EMS was canceled, so it does not appear anyone was injured. We know there were 2 pilots and 2 others on board that plane. This is the third plane-related incident in Kentuckiana over the last few days. As we mentioned, a very wet Tuesday there. And take a look, a live look now. Flash flooding has been reported in areas across Louisville. That car in floodwaters at 7th and Magnolia in Old Louisville. The driver was able to get out, but again, this is just one of the scenes that we are hearing about as that rain continues to pummel Kentuckiana, and it is not over yet. And that is where we turn to meteorologist Matthew Willoughby, who has been tracking all of the latest weather. We asked for it. We hadn't seen rain in a couple of weeks, Matthew, and now it is here.
Yeah, it surely is here for us as we look at today. So as we switch over to Max 2, that is, we're still seeing that rainfall out there for you.
We're working on his mic there. Let's see.
There we go.
All right, so there we go. Yeah, so we're still seeing that rainfall out there for you. You can tell as look at our radar and satellite Jasper right in the Louisville metro. You're seeing those heavier showers for us as we go throughout today. So that's something that we definitely have seen. We do have the flash flood warning out there for you. So you've seen the videos and of course the plane sliding off the runway. That's what we've seen, quite a bit of heavy rainfall throughout E-Town, Bardstown, right here in the Louisville metro. And it has just been falling the entire time. Overall, you can tell some of those alerts that we're seeing, starting to see some more flash flood warnings throughout Louisville, Brandonsburg, Hardinsburg, and we'll give you a view of what to expect. The one right here in Jeffersontown, or at least right here in Jefferson County, is extended until 2:15 today. So we've already seen about 2 to 3 inches of rainfall throughout the Louisville metro, but additional 1.5 to 2 inches we expected to fall as we head towards at least the next several hours, that is for us. So not necessarily a severe outlook for us for today, but the rainfall, that's something we've really been seeing over the last several hours, and that's continued to fall as we head towards at least this afternoon back into the evening hours. So that rainfall right now continue over the next several hours, and we still got quite a bit way back into Hardinsburg. It's going to continue to stretch across our area as we head towards this afternoon. So we'll give you the latest updates and of course a look at that futurecast coming up in just a few minutes. We'll send it back over to you, Brooke.
All right, Matthew, thank you. JCPS is deciding if it needs to raise your taxes, but this time the new superintendent is making it clear why he would even make such a controversial request. Brian Yearwood says no new taxes to fix the $188 million deficit, but maybe new taxes to upgrade the schools. So as we just mentioned, the district's facing $188 million in a budget deficit and needs to cut about $132 million from next year's school budget. Our Alex Dieterer and photojournalist Aspen Hester explain what the district is facing to make those cuts by January.
We have to do that in-house.
JCPS Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood reiterating that he does not want a tax increase to balance the district's $188 million budget deficit, but says a tax increase may be necessary to update and even replace decades-old school buildings.
We will need to have new buildings. We will need to have remodels happening. So again, those are things that will require additional revenue, and that's where, we have to determine whether we go to the voters or not.
The district has an estimated $2.5 billion in deferred maintenance across all facilities.
If people don't have faith that you're spending that money properly, why would they want to give you more money?
Former school board member and education consultant Sam Corbett saying the district needs to focus on regaining the community's trust.
There's just no way this community is ready to raise their property tax rate, given what they perceive in many cases as the inefficiency that you have at JCPS.
Do we really need a tax increase? And are there ways that we can save money without raising taxes?
Louisville resident and former FBI Special Agent David Byer is on the Revenue Advisory Task Force, created in August in response to the budget deficit.
I have questions about those two things. How do we get to this point? and what's the solution? And I don't necessarily believe that raising taxes is a solution.
The task force's ultimate goal is to recommend a tax rate for the 2026-27 budget year. The Jefferson County Board of Education has until January or February to give a proposed budget that identifies $132 million to reduce from their budget. But is that doable?
Well, yes, it's doable, but that's going to require that you cut people.
While 80% of the district's budget is tied to labor costs, Superintendent Yearwood has pledged that no teachers will be laid off during the process, and a bulk of the cuts will be made in the central office, including administrative budgets.
And be able to show our taxpayers and show that we continue to be excellent stewards of our taxpayers' dollars.
More cuts to come, and the bottom line for the district superintendent remains that students cannot be the ones to suffer. Alex Dieterer, WHAS11 on your side.
Yearwood has said that the base pay for staff working directly in JCPS schools will not be affected. We do have an update to the two men you see there on your screens, Nathaniel Porter on the left and Pastor Virgil Edwin Mosey on the right. Police said these two stole credit cards from elderly victims, racking up over $5,000 in fraudulent transactions. LMPD caught these two on camera multiple times at a number of different stores, they say, using those stolen credit cards. Earlier today, Detective Sergeant Joe Keeling said the pair would take the stolen cards and purchase $400 Visa gift cards.
You need to be aware of your surroundings. Close up your purses. Make sure you're attending to your personal items. He said that they were going out looking for vulnerable people. So if you try not to look vulnerable and protect your stuff and be aware of what's going on around you.
LMPD said it's possible there could be more victims. The department is currently looking into a fourth case. The two are scheduled to appear in court October 14th. If you believe you are a victim, you are asked to call LMPD's 3rd Division detectives at 502-574-2135. Threats of violence and death being made to members of the Kentucky Parole Board after a man convicted in the death of a 6-year-old boy was released after serving 7 years of a 20-year sentence. Ronald Exantis was let out last week, found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity for the 2015 killing of 6-year-old Logan Tipton out of Versailles, Kentucky. Exantis had driven to the family's home randomly from Indianapolis, where he killed the boy and injured a number of his family members over the weekend. The White House said it was also investigating why he was released, since he was sentenced to, again, 20 years. The parole board said inaccurate information is causing significant threats, and a statement saying they did not release Exantis, instead unanimously voted for him to remain in prison. The board said Kentucky law required the release on mandatory reentry supervision. At a time when political violence is on the rise, they said it's more important than ever for information shared to be accurate and threats like these to be taken seriously. The man found guilty of murder in the Crystal Rogers case is appealing his conviction. Brooks Houck was one of 3 men convicted in her death. He was Rogers' boyfriend at the time, back in 2015. He was sentenced to life in prison this last September, and now he is asking the Kentucky Appeals Court to overturn his case. The other 2 men convicted in Rogers' murder have also filed notices seeking an appeal. More heavy rain is expected to not help a major blockage in the Rolling Fork River. It's posing a risk down in Nelson County. WHAS11 was there looking over the huge pieces of debris blocking the river's regular flow. This happened after April's historic flooding, but it's still a mess. The emergency management director believes it will take about $500,000 for a contractor to break it all up in that river.
What if it breaks? What does that mean to the downstream towns that are below it? Is that almost like a dam breaking, and then you have this big wall of water that takes out the town of Boston? Those are the things that we're concerned about.
If FEMA does not come through with the funds, Brad Metcalf says he'll need to request them from the Kentucky General Assembly next year, which is a budget year. As the fight over funding the government continues, federal funding cuts have already been playing out right here in Louisville. One of the programs most at risk is the Meals on Wheels program. Now, federal funding for that program expired last week and was set to expire before the federal shutdown. But Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg says those nearly 900 homebound seniors who receive 5 meals a week thanks to that program will not go hungry. He announced yesterday the city has allocated funds from the Office of Social Services to keep the senior nutrition program going until the end of the year.
We aren't going to wait to see if someone else in Washington takes care of our own here in Louisville. When the federal government turns its backs on families, our city is going to step up to meet the moment.
Now, the cost to cover the rest of the year is around $348,000. Greenberg also said the cuts to the senior nutrition program are not directly connected to, again, the ongoing government shutdown.